Good evening. I hope this finds you well. Over the last few weeks, there's been a number of events that have stirred my soul, and I think it's appropriate to bring them to you now. The first, of course, was the decision by Church of England bishops to go against what the Bible teaches and bow to pressure from other voices. And perhaps the most notable Christian in the world, as the Archbishop of Canterbury, was found to be weak and pressured and gave in to voices from outside. So that was the first thing that stirred me. The second thing, any of you who are aware of any Christian social media will have seen reference to an awakening, as it's being called, at Asbury University in Wilmore, Kentucky, in the United States. After a pretty ordinary chapel service on the 8th of February, a number of students stayed behind to pray and to continue worshipping, and it grew into thousands of people coming to take part in round the clock worship session. So 24 hours, and I think it was 17 days they spent, 24 hours a day worshipping God, coming before him, seeking God, honouring him, seeking after his holiness for themselves. And this also got inside my head to some degree. And now it's very difficult and very difficult to see what the truth is, and it's very easy to be sceptical from 3,000 miles away. But sane and calm voices from nearby have reported that there was indeed something very special going on there, and that many young people were coming to faith in Jesus. I wonder what that would be like somewhere close to you. How would you feel about that in your street, in your village, in Dumfries, in our nation? The third big news story of the past weeks in Scotland, of course, has been the coming vote for a new First Minister of Scotland. And it's been fascinating to watch how Kate Forbes, a Bible-believing Christian, has been pilloried by the media and by other politicians around her for simply speaking the truth of the gospel and the truth of God's word. Interesting to note the difference between her approach and that of the bishops in the Church of England, and how straightforward she's been. And something that really struck me was the fact that the media and politicians were playing this as if she'd been somehow clumsy or misjudged in what she'd said, but actually she'd simply spoken the truth. And it put me in mind of another Scot of great talent of 100 years ago, and I'm sure you recognise the name Eric Liddell, 1924, who made the decision that he wasn't going to compete in his event, the 100 metres sprint at the Olympics, because the final was to be on a Sunday. And again, the media pilloried him. He was treated very badly, but instead he chose to run in the 400 metres, an event he hadn't specifically trained for a long period. And he went on, as we all know, to win that event and to set a new Olympic record. Now, in the film, and I think in fact as well, somebody passes Eric Liddell a note before he starts to run in that final. And on the note, it is written part of a verse from 1 Samuel. And the bit that's written, it says, "Those who honour me, I will honour." There's a thought, isn't it? But it comes from a bigger verse, or a whole verse. The context is the whole verse of 1 Samuel 2, verse 13. It says, "Therefore the Lord, the God of Israel, declares," and it's spoken as a warning to the priests, Eli and his sons, who've not been honouring God in their work in the temple. So it comes as a warning to them. "Therefore the Lord, the God of Israel, declares, I promised that members of your family would minister before me forever. But now the Lord declares, far be it from me. Those who honour me, I will honour. but those who despise me will be disdained by me. Take note, the bishops, I think. So all these things have crowded into my mind over the past weeks. There's the C of E bishops and their weakness and apostasy. There's the awakening at a university in Kentucky, 3,000 miles away. And then there's the stand and the treatment of Kate Forbes in Scotland. And they all seemed to stir my soul and motivated me to do something. But what? Well, of course, the answer is to pray. But then I think about my prayers, and I recognise that so often they're intermittent, they're weak, uncommitted even. And then another thought struck me from a commentator about the event in Fillmore in Kentucky, the awakening there. And he said, the very interesting thing, he said that people in that area had been wearing God down. They'd worn out the Lord with their prayers over the past years. Is that something we do? Now, of course, that reference is to the story that Jesus tells, the parable Jesus tells in Luke chapter 18 about the widow and the corrupt judge. I'll just read it to you, it's quite short. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, grant me justice against my adversary. For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, even though I don't fear God or care about men, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming. And the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth? How does the widow approach the corrupt judge? She approaches him with persistence and boldness, even against that corrupt man. And he gives her justice, just simply so she'll go away. Jesus tells us that we should cry out to him day and night. Now, of course, that's not a call for us to be exhibitionists. We're to lock our doors and go away quietly by ourselves. But we can cry out to him day and night. That speaks not just of persistence, but of passion too. I wonder if we do that for the people we love, the people around us, the situations we're in, and yes, of course, for our nation. I wonder if we want to see justice and change like the persistent widow, giving all the glory and honour to God, we should pray, just like Jesus tells us. We should cry out to him night and day. Good night.